Okay, tonight was Bret the Hitman Hart Appreciation Night, and I just watched it on the WWE app. There was a lot of superstars that came out of the woodwork to pay homage to the career of Bret the Hitman Hart, including Pat Patterson, as well as Bret the Hitman Hart's former rivals, Shawn Michaels, Vince McMahon, and Jerry the King Lawler, who hosted the show. And also Chris Jericho told a story about how he showed Bret the Lamahe style cradle, and Bret used it on pay-per-view, so there you go. So that was what Raw was tonight. It was Bret Hart Appreciation Night, and that just ended in Calgary. So for those of you that didn't know about it, then you probably don't know anything more than what I'm telling you right now. And if you want to hear about exactly what happened, I'm sure someplace you can find it. It'd be on any of the wrestling websites you normally go to. Check out the SNS Radio Network Facebook page, or maybe Wrestling News Source, WrestleZone. Just check it out if you want to find out what happened during Bret Hart Appreciation Night. So tonight, actually, as I get my last page of notes here, we're going to talk Raw in a minute. Quick programming note, well, taping did not happen today, so I'm guessing the schedule was the cause of it, and that's fine. I understand. Schedules do get in the way sometimes, especially when you're working more than one job. So you will be seeing Molly on Pop somewhere in the near future. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but once the video is ready, I'll shoot it out to you guys, so there's always that. And I did an NXT and SmackDown recap yesterday, and there was a big problem about 35 minutes into it. The iPhone battery was about to die. It was giving me that 20% low battery gimmick, and basically I knew I was going to lose the video. So I paused, I ran in the bedroom, grabbed my charger, plugged it in, and you had a lot of dead air. So if you see the dead air, wait just a minute or so, and I'll come back, I promise, and I do finish the SmackDown recap, so there's always that. Lots of stuff coming this week from Pop. Should get a lot of videos in the can from Will on Wednesday. I don't know exactly what time we're all meeting here to shoot the videos, but that will be taken care of on Wednesday. So Wednesday also will be Mud and the Iceman at Athena Grand and Athena Cinema with AJ. And those videos will be tacked on to After Earth and Now You See Me for this weekend's AJ's movie review, which if you haven't checked out the reviews of Fast and Furious 6, or Furious 6 according to the title, and Epic The Hangover Part 3, as well as Black Rock, then check them out. That video is also in this very Pop playlist. Probably very close to this video right here. It's only a couple away, so if you see AJ's face, you know that you're in the right place. And if you haven't checked out any of his former reviews, reviewing Iron Man 3, The Great Gatsby, and many, many other films, you can check those out on this Pop playlist as well. Ben is supposed to send me a video game review very soon, so I will have that. And Ben will be doing some video game reviews for us, as well as his music reviews. And like I said, Will's stuff is in the can soon, hopefully. And like I said, we are approaching our 1-month anniversary as a YouTube channel. We started on May 1st, and now it is almost June 1st, and on June 1st, we're going to have a big party, and it's going to be awesome, but I don't know exactly if it's going to be a party or anything. I might just say, yay, we made it a month, so that's awesome. But again, thanks to everyone out there who has watched these videos, and thank you for watching the advertising, because Pop's making money, and not very much, but every little bit helps, to be totally honest, so thank you for watching the ads, because there's a reason for them, so there's always that. Now, talked to NXT and SmackDown last night, and you know what? Tonight we're going to talk Raw. So, it is Tuesday morning, and early in the AM, and we are going to talk about last night's WWE Monday Night Raw live from Calgary, dramatic pause, Alberta, Canada. So, let's start this off, shall we? We start the show off with John Cena. He came out to a very mixed reaction. Given the fact that we're in Canada, it's very heel heavy in Canada. Well, that's mainly just Toronto, but I mean, in Calgary, they just didn't like Cena. So immediately he starts getting booed. So he comes to the point that both him and Ryback think they deserve the WWE Championship. Cena, well, he's the champion. He holds the belt. But Ryback thinks he deserves it because he was the last man standing. Literally. Unless you had the WWE app and they both were standing. But that's another story altogether. So the fans start chanting, "We want Brett." And Cena picks up on it and realizes that. And basically puts over Brett. So he gets a pop for that. He says payback should be a lot of things. But mainly payback should be hell. So Cena wants not an ambulance match. No, that's too easy. He wants a 3 stages of hell match. So each fall, of course, in the 3 stages of hell match does have a different stipulation. The first match is going to be a lumberjack match. And the second match is going to be a tables match. And the third will be Ryback's precious ambulance match. Lumberjack, tables, ambulance. I think for PG era and for the sheer lameness of these stipulations, I'm going to call this 3 stages of heck. So, yes, this is all going to be heck to pay when Ryback and John Cena face off at Payback. So, Ryback comes out, and the Goldberg chant immediately starts. The Feed Me More crap is completely out of his theme, and he's wearing a black leather jacket. He's totally full-on heel at this point, and thank God. So he says, "You know what? I drove you through that LED board, and I didn't care what was on the other side at all. I just wanted to try to take you to hell, straight to hell. Call me Beelzebub, call me Lucifer, call me Satan, but mainly, I am Ryback." So, interesting promo to start it off. Well, at this point, Ryback leaves and Paul Heyman comes out. And he comes out just so he can introduce John Cena to his new client, Curtis Axel. And he says, "We were watching you accept this challenge, but you decided to put forth your own challenge towards Ryback. We know you're a fighting champion, so that's what you're going to do. Tonight, we want an opportunity. Curtis Axel versus John Cena tonight on Raw." Cena goes, "Stay far, far away from Paul Heyman." And Axel speaks up and goes, "Johnny boy, we didn't ask you for an opinion. If you're looking for a fight, last week, you're going to get one." Cena says, "Last week you got lucky, but this week he's going to face off against John Cena." So we get that. On the WWE app, if you don't have it, Chris Jericho does a promo with Josh Matthews. And he basically says that when asked what's going to go down on the highlight reel tonight, he's like, "I don't want to divulge all my secrets. I might talk about Curtis Axel. I may even ask, where's my $250 payday from Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania in 1995? Which made me laugh. It really did. So, we get our first match of the evening after this. It's Biggie Langston taking on Alberto Del Rio. And we saw Langston get the first victory on Raw, and ADR gets a victory on the main event. So this would be the rubber match between the televised rubber match between the two. So, basically, middle of the match, Langston hits 3 stiff backbreakers on ADR. He goes for the charge, and he misses and goes shoulder first into the ring post. Of course, that's setting up for the cross arm breaker. So, nice clotheslines, 2 in succession from Alberto Del Rio, and a third one drops Langston. Well, doesn't really drop Langston. He kind of staggers him, and he's about to drop, and he hits the backstabber, and the grounded side kick to the side of the head for a 2 count. So he goes for the cross arm breaker, he gets shoved off, and a nice belly-to-belly suplex from Biggie Langston. So AJ jumps up on the ring apron with her cute self, as always, and unties the top turnbuckle, so she's setting up for the exposed buckle to be an advantage for Biggie Langston. Well, he goes for the cross arm breaker to Alberto Del Rio, has it right in the center of the ring, and he tries to bomb out of it. And he gets reversed. He gets pushed into the exposed buckle. He gets rolled up from behind and pinned. So after the match is over, AJ gets up in Biggie Langston's face and just berates him like over and over again. And Biggie just walks out. So I think we have, in essence, seen the very beginning of the Big E Langston babyface turn that we thought was going to come out for a long time. And given the fact that Big E Langston is a babyface on NXT, it makes sense for his progression to be a babyface on Raw, and I think that's going to work in the near future, but it's not really yet. I mean, it's kind of like baby steps to get to it, and fighting with AJ Lee is a start, since he can't fight with Dolph right now, because unfortunately Dolph is still on the shelf with his concussion. So we see Hell No in the back. Daniel Bryan's basically pacing back and forth. And he's talking about his size, and Kane says, you know what, being tough has nothing to do with size. They go yes and no back and forth, and Bret the Hitman Hart walks in, and he says that tension like this can destroy a tag team. You're one of the toughest WWE superstars I've ever seen. And basically Bret says the same thing Kane says, and Bryan's like, okay, that's right, it's fine. And Kane, looks completely dumbfounded to why he would accept Bret Hart's advice and not Kane's when they said the same exact thing. And he's like, well, how can you accept what Bret is saying when I said the same thing? And he's like, well, he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And, well, you're just Kane. So, the fans kind of laughed on that. I thought it was kind of funny, personally. So we get our next match of the evening, a rematch for the United States Championship as Dean Ambrose of The Shield defending against Kofi Kingston. This match happened on SmackDown, and of course it was going pretty far for a while. It was going great, and then The Shield got involved. It led to the six-man with Sheamus and Orton and Kofi against The Shield. So now we get the actual match here on Raw. And I think what happened on Raw tonight, or last night in this case, was the fact that, well, SmackDown didn't have the longest of matches, and didn't have the best of matches. So they made up for it with a lot of great matches last night on Raw. So, again, Dean Ambrose comes down the steps, and he goes at it alone. He doesn't have Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins by his side. He just gets in the ring by himself. So we get midway through the match. Ambrose ducks out of trouble in Paradise, and he powders out. He goes for a suicide dive, does Kofi, and it's basically just a jumping head fake, kind of like what Mysterio used to do. So, a monkey flip, and goes for the 10 punch. He somewhat lands on the ropes like he usually does. He flips out of it, but he gets caught with a nice kick from Ambrose, and Ambrose hits a hot shot and drops the point of the ankle on the throat of Kofi Kingston like he did on SmackDown on Friday night. So a nice backdrop suplex, gets a 2 count out of it, puts a nerve hold on Kofi, and then a hangman's neck breaker for a 2 count. So basically he locks in a halo choke and stomps, and a nice kick out off the pin. There's a scoop slam, and a double leg, and a slingshot into a roll-up for a 2 count. So Kofi hits the double chop, chop, like he normally does, the standing drop kick, goes for the leaping clothesline, and goes off the middle ropes for the double springboard into the crossbody for the 2 count. The normal Kofi offense. He nails the leaping clothesline this time, and sunset flip once again for a 2. They trade pinfall reversals a bit, looked awesome, and ends up hitting SOS, and Ambrose kicks out at 2. So he hits a sliding drop kick to Ambrose, and Kofi comes off the top rope. Actually, with a leaping clothesline off the top for the 2 count only. So Dean ends up sending Kofi into the steps in a very unique way. He's on the ring apron. It looks like he's ready to go up top, and he gets grabbed. He grabs his ankle and he sweeps it out, and he goes face first into the steel steps. So Ambrose rolls him back in and hits the Bulldog Driver, or as I like to call now, the Justice is Served, and gets a clean win over Kofi Kingston. So, good match. Really, really good match on Raw. And here comes Hell No. So I guess we're going to have our tag team title match already. And this match was incredible, by the way. So, they send the Shield to the floor before we start the match. And there's a slam on Roman Reigns, tagging to Daniel Bryan. So they hit the Heart Attack clothesline in Calgary, of all places, during Bret Hart Appreciation Night. And the announcers completely no-sell it. Yeah, that was dumb. So they rain down the elbows like the old Bryan Danielson elbow strikes when he rains down elbows where he used to finish people off in Ring of Honor right before he left the company. That's what he did on Seth Rollins. I'm sure Tyler Black was used to Bryan Danielson elbowing him in the face. He tags in Kane, he whips him into the corner and nails a back elbow. He goes for a choke slam. It gets reversed into a high back kick to the side of the head, tagging to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns ends up going for a pin and gets an ear fall out of it. So he tags Rollins in, goes for the 10 punch, and a stomp into the corner, a nice suplex, block, vertical suplex on Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns tagged back in. So he locks into reverse chinlock. Kane fights out, but he gets cut off. And he gets caught with a nice body slam and tagged back into Seth Rollins. So the Shield are cutting off the ring. Well, they go back to the reverse chinlock, a backdrop attempt, and he lands on his feet this time. Rollins gets nailed with a nice clothesline. There's the tag. A dropkick on Reigns to knock him off the ring apron. Daniel Bryan locks up in a waist lock on Seth Rollins and gives him a release German suplex, lands it right on the top of his head. And right after that, he nails the drop kick into the corner, very Austin Aries-esque. I'm not wearing this shirt on purpose. And only gets a near fall out of it. He hits those stiff kicks and the buzzsaw kick this time, still gets a 2 count. He's going for the flying goat. He gets caught, going for the superplex, and it's countered. Bryan drops down, locks Rollins in the Tree of Woe. The yes kicks in the midsection, charges up, nails the baseball slide drop kick, and a nice belly-to-back superplex, and both men are down. Tagging to Kane, scoop slam, drops the elbow. Kane only gets a 2 count. Goes for the chin lock on Roman Reigns, and he fights out of it. So Kane hits a nice drop kick, like the seated drop kick, for a 2 count only. Tags in Daniel Bryan. Bryan with the drop toe hold and the European uppercut. He goes for the kicks in the corner. Whip, reverse, backflip, lands on his feet, ducks the clothesline, goes for the hooking clothesline, but this time Roman Reigns catches him and sends him down with a clothesline for a 2 count. Tag back into Seth Rollins, and he nails a backdrop suplex, still only gets a 2 count. So he mocks Bryan, goes for the surfboard, and Bryan steps out of it with a nice counter, and he goes to kick the knee. Rollins reverse, tag in, and they stomp and choke in the corner. Nice near fall after a shoulder tackle from Roman Reigns. He basically just ran Bryan over. Tag back into Rollins. There's a headbutt, and they fight out of the corner. And Rollins nails that flatliner into the middle turnbuckle on Daniel Bryan and only gets a 2 count out of it. Tag back into Roman Reigns and locks in a reverse bear hug. And Bryan gets out of it with a leg lariat and tag into Kane. Rollins gets tagged in, so both legal men are now fresh completely. There's a corner clothesline, and he whips him into the opposite corner, hits another corner clothesline. Instead of going for the side slam, he hits a high back body drop on Seth Rollins, and then hits a side slam. Only gets a 2 count because Roman Reigns makes a save right in the nick of time. So Bryan hits the missile drop kick and knocks Reigns to the outside and nails a suicide dive on Roman Reigns. And at this point, Kane hits a big boot on Seth Rollins. It looked like we're going to get new tag team champions. Hits the flying clothesline. Gets ready to go for the choke slam. Bryan with the distraction because he was getting ready to run off the ring apron and nail the knee strike to take Roman Reigns out. So basically, he charges for the knee strike. He leaps off. He gets speared in midair to the ground, so he's done. This time, Kane is distracted. Rollins comes off the top with a knee strike right to the top of the head, and they get a clean win. The Shield retain the WWE Tag Team Championships in a phenomenal match. So, if you're not watching the WWE app, this is something you didn't want to see anyway, because I didn't want to see it. It's Natty's birthday, so Colleen makes her a cake and sings happy birthday. Or, yeah, it's really lame. And 3-man band are out with the cake, and they shove the cake in Hornswoggle's face. That made me laugh, because I hate Hornswoggle. We get a Triple H update. This sucks. I hate this because this devalues what Curtis Axel did last week. He said, the effects of this concussion came from the sledgehammer attack from Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules, like we all knew. And had absolutely nothing to do with what Curtis Axel did on Raw. Yeah, that's a great way to build your new top heel talent. Anyway, there's been no further damage caused by Raw at all, which means Brock Lesnar did it by himself. And the doctor said he probably could be cleared by midweek and probably appear on Raw next week. Yeah. Way to go, WWE. That was a bad idea. So, after what happened on Raw last week, we got and what happened on SmackDown last week, we have a continuation of a match that I've been predicting for a long time, Fandango taking on Wade Barrett. And right before the match was to start, The Miz comes out, and basically he says you can vote right now on what I'm going to be tonight. Am I going to be the guest ring announcer, guest commentator, or special guest referee? So, Smart Money being the black and white, obviously, he's going to be the ref, and that's exactly what wins. So this is another non-title match. This is the first non-title match of the evening, actually, because there were two title matches in the first hour of the show. So, Barrett ends up hitting the short arm clothesline, and Miz drops down and delays his count, so Barrett only gets a 1. He nails his 3 knee strikes, and Miz gets in the way of Barrett to check on Fandango since he's tied up in the ropes at the time. And Fandango shoves Miz to the ground and nails the big boot anyway, so Fandango's down. So, the Miz stands up. Barrett gets to his feet, nails the skull-crushing finale on Wade Barrett, and Fandango slips back in, hooks the leg, and pins the Intercontinental Champion because of Miz interference. So, Fandango and the vivacious Summer Rae dance in the middle ring like they always do, and he dips her, and the second he dips her, Miz kicks him into the side of the head, and Summer Rae falls on Fandango, and Miz counts to 3. So, yeah. In essence, Summer Rae pinned Fandango. Okay. So, really mixed reaction for this, actually. The fans wanted to cheer for Fandango in this match, and some of them did, some of them didn't. A very mixed reaction. So, I know what we're building up. I said that Fandango would be going after a championship, and I thought it would be the U.S. title because Kofi had it. Well, Kofi doesn't have it anymore. And it doesn't make sense to send Fandango against the Shield. So, they're going to send Fandango against Wade Barrett. And given the fact that Miz has some heat with both of them, they're going to end up doing a 3-way dance for the Intercontinental Championship at Payback. And I truly believe that Fandango is going to walk out of that match with the Intercontinental Championship. And then he can feud with both men. So, that'll work really well. I don't have a problem with that. Fandango's white hot right now as a babyface or a heel, depending on what crowd you're in, and he's getting an extreme reaction, selling a lot of merch. I bought a shirt. I don't care. So the thing is, you got to strike while the iron is hot, and you got to put him over while you can, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think he's going to walk out of this mini feud as Intercontinental Champion, and I don't have a problem with that because the match with Barrett was really good. It was really like strong style, like. It's not really like Japanese strong style, but I mean, it was like really heavy on offense from Fandango. And he showcased a lot of the old Johnny Curtis of old, and the fans were chanting Johnny Curtis at one point too. So the match was really good because he could actually stand face to face with Barrett given the fact that they're close to the same height. So I like this idea. I think this will work really well. So we get a promo with John Cena talking to Shawn Michaels, who is now apparently after Chuck Norris shaved off his beard, Shawn Michaels magically grew the same one. That's the only thing I can say about that. So, basically, Cena is told, you never listen to the voice of reason. I'm the voice of reason. Cena retorts, well, that sounds a lot like somebody else I know. That sounds a lot like you. And at this point, fans are chanting, you screwed Brett. So, we get the, Please God, when is this over segment of the evening of Tons of Funk and the Great Khali taking on the 3-man band who are criminally being underused at this point. So Sweet Tea hits the cannonball in the corner on Drew McIntyre and tagging to Jinder Mahal, eventually a double leg sweep for a near fall. I don't know exactly what to call that. Usually I use the leg sweep, 3-man band leg sweep, I guess. So 3 shoulder thrusts in the midsection, tagging to Heath Slater and hits a jawbreaker, gets a near fall out of it. So tagging to Brodus Clay, he hits the Sheplex, and the Avalanche in the corner, a nice Oklahoma Stampede, and Jinder makes the save. So Khali hits the Brain Chop, and Heath gets big splash by Brodus Clay, and that's the end. The match is over, everybody celebrates Natalia's birthday, and they sing Happy Birthday to Natty. including the great Khali literally singing happy birthday to Natty, and the announcers make fun of his broken English. Yeah. Next. So we get the next segment of the evening to wash the garbage that was the segment of previous, which will be the highlight reel, Chris Jericho interviewing Paul Heyman. So basically, Paul Heyman has been called everything from a genius to a walrus. And he has to give credit where credit is due. He does have the knack to align himself with very tremendous talent. He discovers, but Heyman's like, you know what, with all due respect, Chris, honestly, let me tell you where you're wrong here. Not only that what you said is somewhat correct, but I have more to it. I've been known to discover and develop talent as well. Like, I don't know, maybe you, for example. Don't forget, if it wasn't for me, you'd have been stuck in Tennessee Independence. Of course, Chris Jericho, most people know him from when he started in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, the Thrill Seekers tag team with Lance Storm. And Paul Heyman picked him out of there, sent him to ECW. ECW went to WCW, and he ended up in the WWE, and the rest, as we say, is history. So he says, okay, I'll admit it, you did find me, but I still want to know a couple things. Basically, I want to know where my $250 is from Pennsylvania. So he says he doesn't want to talk about Curtis Axel. So Heyman's like, okay, I want to talk about Brock Lesnar and how awesome he is and how great he is and how much he beat Triple H like a drum at Extreme Rules. And he left him unable to be conscious. And he's like, no, I don't want to talk about Brock Lesnar. I don't care about Brock Lesnar. I want to talk about your other client, CM Punk. So the wheels are spinning in my head here. So he's like, it's an honor to be on your show, Chris, but you know what? I want to talk about other things right now. And Jericho's like, blah, 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 blah. I haven't seen more, inane, annoying blah, blah since that stupid Kesha song. So, I want to know where CM Punk is. And Heyman goes, you know what? In the coming weeks on Raw, we're going to make an official announcement where CM Punk is. It's coming soon. And he says, basically that, well, Punk likes to call himself the best in the world. He's been gone for 6 weeks. He has no right to claim himself as the best in the world any longer. He needs to prove his best in the world status by facing me in a match at Payback in his hometown of Chicago. So, basically, Heyman gets talked into accepting the challenge for Punk, so we're going to get Punk and Jericho supposedly at Payback. And he says, I want you to give Punk this message. Tell him that after Payback, he will never, ever be the same again. And then, segment ends. So, good segment. I very much enjoyed that. So, we got our next match of the evening, which is a tag team Divas match. Caitlyn and Natalya against the Bella Twins. So there's a missed splash in a corner, tag in, the whip's reversed, and Natty hits a discus clothesline. Locks on the sharpshooter, and one of the Bella Twins struggles to get to the ropes. She drags her to the middle, and there's an open hand slap from the other Bella Twin. There's a spear from Caitlyn, and she gets tossed to the floor. Caitlyn goes for the spear again on Natty and accidentally spears Natty, and Caitlyn gets knocked off the apron, and the other Bella Twin pins her, so that's the end. After the match is over, they sing happy birthday to her, happy birthday, dear loser, and they walk out. Unlike TNA, that was a waste of a women's match. So we see Curtis Axel, and Bret the Hitman Hart is talking to him. Basically says, your dad put me through the hardest matches of my career. And he goes, you know what? Just because you knew my dad doesn't mean you know me. Doesn't mean you know a thing about me. And then he basically says that he should stay away from Paul Heyman. Kind of like what John Cena said earlier on in the show. And you know what? Heyman was the only person that had any faith in me. He's the only person that believed in me. Why don't you enjoy your appreciation night tonight, Hitman? Because tonight, I'm going to go ahead and go out and beat the the WWE champion. So, before we get to our next match of the evening, we get a vignette. And for those of you that are following my NXT recaps, this is something I'm very, very happy to see. For those of you that don't watch my NXT or SmackDown recaps, you remember the tale of a superstar by the name of, I believe he was Wyndham Rotundo at one point. And he came to WWE, and he became Husky Harris. He was in NXT, he had that senton backsplash. Well, he got injured, and he went to NXT. This new gimmick came out, a Cape Fear style Waylon Mercy gimmick for the new millennium called Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt is a southern gentleman until you piss him off, and then he turns on you. And he has two monsters with him, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. They are his family. They are his disciples. He's like a savior of sorts. And we got a promo, a vignette, if you will, for their debut in the WWE coming soon. Never have I been more excited. I mean, I love Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is incredible. I mean, those of you that don't know anything about Bray Wyatt, check out his NXT stuff. If you want to, check out my NXT recaps, and I'll tell you all about Bray Wyatt. And I'm so happy he's coming to Raw, and that's the right decision. So I'm guessing that Ono isn't far behind. So before he goes to Raw, though, I think he'll win the NXT Championship. I think that'll definitely happen. But if he doesn't, no big deal. But everybody that's won the NXT Championship, Seth Rollins, Big E Langston, they have gone to WWE, and they are now big parts of the main show. Now, it remains to be seen if the person who is going to be winning the NXT Championship on a future episode of the show, who I'm not mentioning, I'm just mentioning there is a title change, I'm not saying who it is. This was filmed the other night. So, in the coming weeks, we're going to be getting a new NXT champion, but it remains to be seen if that person is going to make it in WWE. I don't think he will. I think he'll break the chain. But Bray Wyatt is awesome, and I like the Wyatt family. It's going to be really good to put them in the tag team division, because they'll go after both baby faces and heels, kind of like the Shield do. So, it's going to be awesome to see Bray Wyatt in WWE. So, yes, bring it on. Bring on Bray Wyatt. So, our next match of the evening, of course, set up on SmackDown. We had that horrible segment where Damien Sandow is trying to teach the story of the Gordian knot, and Sheamus comes out. He goes to the Brogue Kick, and Sandow jumps over the press table, powders the floor. He's like, "Aha, I got you!" And then Sheamus is like, "No, you didn't, fella," because he picks up Matt Striker and launches him onto him on the outside. So we get this match, which is the Celtic Vipers, Randy Orton and Sheamus against the Rhodes Scholars. So, there's an over-the-shoulder power slam from Sheamus onto Damien Sandow. Still only gets a 2 count. Tagging to Randy Orton. Orton hits the 10 punches in the corner and the nice standing drop kick. Still only gets a 2 out of it. So he tags in Cody, and Cody gets nailed with a huge exploding clothesline out of the corner from Orton for a 2. Suplex, tagging to Sheamus. Sheamus drops the knee right across the chest, and the clubbing blows to a grounded Cody Rhodes. So Cody ends up reversing and stomps Sheamus down in the corner. Hits a Hangman's neck breaker and only gets a 2 count. Tag to Damien Sandow. Sandow drops a knee of his own. Sheamus ends up reversing and nails the Finley roll. And he goes up top and he punches Cody off. Because he was going for the battery ram off the top, and Cody went for the distraction, and he punches Cody off, knocks him to the floor. So basically, Sandow snapmares him off the top. Still gets a 2 count out of it. Drop toe hold onto the ropes. And tag back into Sandow. And Sandow makes a pinfall attempt and only gets a 2 count out of it. Locks on a modified crossface chicken wing in the grounded position. And it grounds Sheamus momentarily. Tagging to Cody Rhodes. Cody ends up getting a near fall out of that. Locks in a hammerlock. And Cody ends up getting him up to his feet. And stomps away on Sheamus. So, basically, there's a standing drop kick and knocks Sheamus to the outside, off the ring apron. And there's another near fall. We go back to the rear chin lock and tagging to Cody Rhodes. Cody locks on a body scissors with a chin lock. He charges in this time, and he gets caught with the Irish Curse backbreaker. There's a double down and tagging to Randy Orton, tagging to Damien Sandow. Vintage Orton, you know, clothesline, duck the opponent's clothesline, snap Samojo, power slam. And just like on SmackDown with the Shield, he ends up power slamming Cody Rhodes as well. Nails the snakebite DDT on Damien Sandow. Cody pulls Sandow out while he was readying for the RKO, which is a smart move to stop the momentum. Orton slithers out of the ring and clotheslines Cody Rhodes, sending him down. So basically, Sandow takes this opportunity to push Orton to the post. And he tosses him back into the ring and goes for the pinfall, but only gets a 2 count. So basically on this, he tags Cody back in. Cody gets a nice gourd buster, gets a 2 count out of it. Tagging to Sandow. Sandow hits 4 knee strikes and the California leg sweep and the Kobito Akiet, the elbow of disdain, only gets a 2 count this time. He mounts him with punches, tagging to Cody Rhodes, and Orton nails the exploder suplex, and both men are down. Hot tag to Sheamus. He comes in with the Irish Hammer. And a nice tag into Damien Sandow so Cody can take a breather for a second. He catches Sandow with the clubbing blows in the corner, goes for white noise, and Cody hits the Beautiful Disaster off the ropes, and there's another kick out. So Orton throws Cody into the Timekeeper's area, literally over the barricade into the Timekeeper's area, to knock him out. Meanwhile, in the ring, Sandow goes for the Terminus. It gets reversed into white noise. Sheamus nails the Brogue Kick, and they get the 3 count. So what a good match, actually. Awesome match for Raw. Get our final segment of the evening between John Cena and Curtis Axel. So basically, we see Axel throw Cena straight in the steps. He rolls back into the ring, and he stomps away. Hits a nice high-velocity whip into the corner. And a snap suplex, locks on an armbar while pressing against the side of the face, and then presses up on the chin. So Cena gets back to his feet very slowly. He ducks Axel's clothesline, but he doesn't duck the club to the back of the neck. He gets a 2 count. So he ducks the clothesline, Cena hits the shoulder off the ropes, the Protobomb, goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle, lands it, goes for the attitude adjustment, gets reversed into a nice Mr. Perfect style standing dropkick for a 2 count. Hit the Hitman style middle rope elbow once, and then he mocks Bret Hart and does it again, and this time Cena's out of the way. Cena hits a nice big body slam, gets a 2 count out of it. A snapmare eventually by Curtis Axel, and he nails the perfect somersault neck snap and gets a 2 count out of it. Goes for the perfect plex. It gets reversed. Going for the STF. The SPF is reversed again. Perfect plex. And Cena pulls a Hulk Hogan and kicks out at 2.5. So a corner splash. And it's missed this time. Cena nails the clothesline. And at this point, Ryback drives the ambulance in. Supposedly. This is what we're thinking. The ambulance gets drove into the building. And Cena just leaves the ring. He's like, forget this, I don't need this match. So he comes out to the ambulance, checks if anybody's in there. He opens the door, no one's there. He opens the back door, of course no one's there. Ryback attacks him from behind, so they fight up on the ramp. And meanwhile, Cena's getting counted out, and he gets counted out. They reach to a count of 10, so Cena loses the match by count out. But Ryback is ready to go for it again to spear Cena into the LED wall at Raw. But Cena's out of the way. He moves out of the nick of time, goes for the AA, gets reversed. Ryback throws Cena off the steps, off the ramp, onto the floor, and that's how we end. While the music starts, and Axel and Heyman celebrate in the ring, and Cena just applauds. That's Raw. So, what do we have here, folks? Well, let's talk about it. 3 stages of heck. Coming to Payback, the Lumberjack match, which Cena most likely will win. The Tables match, which Ryback will definitely win. And the Ambulance match, which Super Cena will definitely topple his kryptonite. So that's what's going to happen. I like what they're doing with the fact that the first week you have Curtis Axel debut against Triple H. He wins via countout. Second week, he wrestles John Cena. He wins via countout. He's beating these guys, but he's not doesn't have to pin these guys. It's a very heelish way to get yourself over. And you can brag about the fact that your first 2 matches, as Curtis Axel, of course, were wins over John Cena and Triple H. If The Rock was still in the company right now, I would have him go out and face Curtis Axel, and they do the same exact thing. Because obviously when Rock was getting ready for his big match against John Cena, Axel was one of the guys that he was training with, that he was sparring with, actually. I like this. I like this very much. So we get a continuation. Actually, I'll get to the continuation first. Alberto Del Rio and Big E Langston, it was okay for what it was. Basically, Big E lost the match, and AJ blames him for the loss. So we start the slow burn for Langston's babyface turn. I'm sure it'll happen sooner rather than later, and we're going to get Big E and Dolph Ziggler probably sometime in the summertime. So, Hell No are teetering on the brink of breaking up, and they seem to save it every once in a while. Bryan is slipping slowly into insanity, and there's almost no turning back at this point. I think he's going to end up turning on Kane sooner rather than later. Ambrose and Kingston had an amazing match, and Ambrose wins clean yet again over Kofi using the Justice as Served Bulldog Driver, which looks awesome every time I see it. Shield against Hell No was an amazing match, really great contest, long match actually, and the right people did go over. And I don't have a problem with that at all, to be totally honest. So, Rollins gets a clean win over Kane, and I don't have a problem with that either. I really hated the stuff with three-man band, Tons of Funk, and Great Khali. I hate everything with Khali. I really wish Hornswoggle would never, ever be on my television again. Triple H gets injured by Brock Lesnar, and they blame it on Curtis Axel, and they pretty much reveal that Lesnar's the only one that did something. What Axel did had nothing, no bearing on what happened. Why Triple H faded fast on Raw last week. We're building towards a three-way feud. Wade Barrett versus Fandango versus The Miz. I don't have a problem with that. I think this is going to lead to Fandango taking the Intercontinental Championship at Payback in the three-way. And the highlight reel worked pretty well, basically serving to get us Chris Jericho and CM Punk yet again at Payback. And with Heyman making the match, I wonder what Punk has to say about that. Maybe the babyface turn for Punk that everyone keeps talking about will finally come to fruition because of this fact. So we got the Bella Twins making fun of Natty, which was stupid. And Curtis Axel basically having John Cena and Bret the Hitman Hart telling him stay away from Paul Heyman, and he defends Heyman saying he's the only person that believed in me, and obviously he knows real talent, and I'm just going to show you what I can do. Orton and Sheamus against the Rhodes Scholars, really good match actually, and I love the fact that Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family are coming into Raw sooner rather than later. I like Axel getting the win via countout. That was fine. I got no problems with that. He can brag about the fact that he beat John Cena and Triple H in consecutive weeks on Raw, so that's not a problem. And, of course, he has that clean win over Sin Cara from SmackDown where he beat him with the axe to grind. So, that was Raw. And we're going to talk wrestling again, obviously, on Friday when we're talking TNA Impact. So, actually, it's going to be harder to Impact recaps, but I'll do it the best I can. They're probably going to be later than usual, so I got to hope I don't work Fridays anymore after this week, because Impact's going back to 9, so I can do B-dubs until 9. I'll probably miss the first segment, so I'll go back and I'll have it DVR'd, obviously. I'll rewind first so I can catch the beginning of the first segment. So don't miss anything for the recap that I'm going to shoot that night. So that's the only way to really do that. We're going to shoot the Impact recaps directly after Impact at 11 o'clock, so I don't have a problem with that. And they'll be ready for Friday morning viewers on Pop, so I don't have a problem with that at all. So, big wrestling heavy couple of days. So, once again, if you like these videos, thumbs them up, do leave a comment, do subscribe. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can, at Sir Owen Disney. If you want to help and become part of the Popcaster Revolution, send me an email to sirowen.disney@gmail.com. And once again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Tell your friends to do the same. If you like these videos, tell me so. And spread the word about Pop. So, I'm going to get off here. And thank you guys again for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.